We can do everything from our butts. I was so unhappy and I couldn't run. And that led to a really bad shin splint. All right, so maybe you're a runner, maybe you're new to running, maybe you're just researching running because you want to start, in which case, just start. Wherever you're coming from, you are doing some research on running, and I love that for you. I wish I did what you're doing right now so I could avoid these crucial mistakes that I made when I was a newbie runner almost 10 years ago. Actually over 10 years ago. Because of these mistakes, my performance was held back for years, and I even had to stop running for a period of time after getting a really bad injury. And it wasn't until like 4.5 years ago that I actually started to make progress with my running again. I eventually ran a marathon in 2019 and an ultra marathon last year in 2021. But yeah, had I not made these mistakes, I'd probably be a few more marathons and ultra marathons deep by now, so listen up. And make sure you watch until the end of this video because I'm gonna talk about a mistake that I don't see enough people talking about that makes a huge difference no matter what level of runner you're at. All right, so let's get into mistake number 1. This is not having a performance-based goal. My first and maybe most crucial mistake as a new runner was not having a performance-based goal. When I started running, I just wanted to lose weight. And yes, it helped me lose weight. But I was really scared of setting any time or distance goals, like anything related to performance. I didn't want to do races because I was scared of running with other people, and I honestly could not bear the thought of people going faster than me and doing better than me and judging me for being so slow. And honestly, I was just so insecure. And that was ironically one of the reasons why I started running, was because I knew I was so insecure and I wanted to become more confident through running. But because I didn't have a performance-based goal, I had no way of assessing myself and figuring out if I was actually progressing. See, I fundamentally believe that we all have a bias toward growth. We all want to subconsciously improve and grow. But because I kind of stifled that desire to grow outwardly, I started becoming really obsessed with keeping myself small and making the number on the scale go down instead of my mile time go down. So if I were to give my former self some advice, or you some advice, it would be to have a performance-based goal. Now, what could this look like? Well, it could look like finishing simply a 5K or a 10K. It could look like running a mile in under 9, 8, or 7 minutes. Or it could be time and distance based, like running a 5K in under 24 minutes. It's literally anything that is time or distance based so that you have something outside of yourself to focus on. And yeah, it's definitely great to look inward sometimes, or like very often. But if you are very competitive with yourself, very perfectionistic, it is so mentally relieving to have a number outside of yourself to focus on. So mistake number 2 stems from mistake number 1, and it is running the same distance and pace every single day. So for years, I ran 3 miles a day, 6 days a week at 70 to 90% effort. And yes, this sounds very boring, and I could say that it's boring, but my brain loves simplicity. It loves sameness. It loves a routine. So my brain was kind of okay doing this, and I was just like, yeah, I'm gonna run 5K almost every morning for the rest of my life, and that's how I'm going to maintain my fitness, and that's just the way it's gonna be. But that's why this mistake was so easy for me to make. It's because I was staying inside my comfort zone. I did pretty much the same route every single day. I only changed it when I moved, and I ran at 70, 80, or 90% effort every single day, which is way too hard too often. And this really led to stagnation. I wasn't growing at all. I was not getting any better at running, and it did eventually get to be really mentally taxing. So instead, here's what you should do. You should vary your distances. Some days of the week, run a few miles. Other days of the week, run a few more. Now that's obviously super vague, but it really depends on what level you're at and your different goals. So let's say you want to run a marathon. So in a marathon training, you might run like 40 to 60 miles per week. So one of those days might be your long run from like 10 to 15 miles, and then another day might be your recovery run at like 4 to 6 miles. Now, if you run 5 to 6 miles every single day during training, you're never gonna be able to build up to that marathon distance. You're not gonna survive it. And likewise, if you run a long run every single day, you're going to burn out and you're probably gonna get injured. You also need to vary your pace. If you run as fast as you can for every single run, you are going to burn out. And your confidence is probably also going to take a hit because you're not going to feel like you can run that hard every single day. That's why our bodies need these recovery runs done at a conversational pace to literally recover. Because when you train hard, you're actually tearing your muscle fibers. So your body needs time to repair those muscle fibers so that they're able to push hard again. And that's called adaptation. So if you're running as fast as you can for every single run, every single day, you're not gonna get that recovery, and therefore you're not gonna get that adaptation that's going to help you become a faster, more efficient, better runner, which is what you want. And recovery runs are a perfect time to catch up on podcasts that you like to listen to. You could run with friends, you could run with your dog, or you could just enjoy the silence. And recovery runs should be about 80% of your weekly mileage. So like on a small scale, if you're running like 20 miles a week, 16 of those miles should be your easy, conversational, sexy pace. All right, mistake number 3 is not strength training. When I started running, I had no concept of the importance of muscle. And this is also in 2012. So fitness, YouTube, fitness, Instagram was not really a place. There was not a lot of good information out there. At least not as much as we see today. I think we see a lot more science on social media. So yeah, I just knew that I wanted to lose weight, and I did ab exercises for like 10 or 20 minutes after every run. And core is great. Like I still do core exercises. That's where all your power comes from, or at least a lot of it. But you cannot neglect the rest of your body. So your quads, your hamstrings, your glutes, by strengthening those, you're gonna prevent injury. And even by strengthening your arms, you can help your arm swing, which is gonna propel you forward when you're running fast. Ideally, you should be training about 3 times a week minimum. If you want the accountability of a personal trainer, you can easily find one at your local gym or online. Seriously, there are no shortage of personal trainers out there right now. Or if you're more on a budget, you can do the Nike training app, which is completely free. I actually talk about it in my How to Run on a Budget video, if you want to check that out. And Peloton is also great even if you don't spin. I know the company has a lot of drama right now, but I've seen a lot of high-performing athletes use Peloton to cross-train, and they are fast. So yeah, whatever way you choose, just get like 20 to 30 minutes of strength training 3+ times a week, and you will be in much better shape. All right, mistake number 4 might be my biggest mistake, and that is not eating enough. So like I said before, I really just wanted to lose weight when I started running. There's like traditionally been the idea out there of what a runner's body is, which is slim, visible abs, super similar to a marathoner, and almost like the arms are like sinewy. That's like kind of a weird word. And luckily there are like a lot of women and some men out there challenging this notion right now. And I want to plug Femi real quick because I think they're doing really great work. I've been following Lydia for a few years now. I think she's a phenomenal role model. So check them out if you have not. But I made this mistake way before a lot of these conversations were taking place, even on social media. So I got really into the eat less, run faster mentality, which does work until it doesn't. So there's a thing called the female athlete triad that specifically affects female runners, and I fell into this too. It's defined as the combination of disordered eating, amenorrhea, and osteoporosis. So when you don't eat enough, your estrogen levels drop and they remain low, and that takes away from your bone density, which causes osteoporosis, and you're not having a period. And I got very caught up in this. I lost my period for 3 years, and then that led to a really bad shin splint in my left leg, which I'm pretty sure was a stress fracture, even though the doctor I went to see didn't take me seriously, but I was literally limping for 2 months, so pretty sure it was a little broken. Luckily, I got through that and I haven't had shin splints in many years, but it was terrible. I was so unhappy and I couldn't run. So part of my recovery from that ties back to number one. It's having a performance-based goal that's outside of my body that I can focus on. Because at the end of the day, you want to run to feel a good physical challenge and you want the mental benefits. And it's not really about looking a certain way. And if you are only running to look a certain way, then it's not going to be sustainable for you. I'm sorry, it's not going to be sustainable. So if you are at the point where you're starting to run and you're starting to restrict your food or think about it, please don't. You should be eating enough to support your running, and that really looks different for everyone depending on your size. Mostly your height, but also the activity that you are doing outside of running too. Definitely make sure to eat when you're hungry. A good rule of thumb is to get about 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, maybe even like a little bit less, but that should keep you in good shape. Carbs and fats will fall where they may. If you would like a helping hand, I am a precision nutrition certified coach, which is one of the top certifications in the world, and you can book a free consult with me in the link below, or you can leave me like a one-off question in the comments. I'll answer it. If you are really struggling with food though, please, please, please seek the help of a professional, because a good therapist will help you recover a lot faster than you would on your own, which is what I did. Don't recommend. All right, let's move on to mistake number 5, which is being too sedentary for the rest of the day. This is basically sitting too much. So there's this common adage, and it's called the rule of 2s. It basically says people get injured by doing too much too soon after doing too little for too long. And this is usually used in reference to people who take like a multi-month break from running and then go right back into like 50 or 60 mile training weeks, which is not wise. But I want to raise that this can happen on a micro level when we're sitting like 8, 10, or even like 12 hours a day. Too much sitting puts stress on your shoulders, your spine, and your hips. It weakens your core and your glute muscles, and it actually tightens your hip flexors, something that I deal with. But when we're running, we need all of these things to be working well. We cannot have a weak glute. I think some people call it dead butt syndrome. And it is so easy to sit for way too long in today's world. Like, we can do everything from our butts. We can work, we can watch TV, we can order delivery. It's like WALL-E. But it's really important to cultivate self-awareness around how much you're sitting every day. So try to get up every 30 to 45 minutes, go get a drink of water, just walk up and down your stairs, do a few laps around your house. You can use a standing desk, or you can put your computer on a high counter. You can even buy one of those walking pads on Amazon, which I have been kind of eyeing up. So if you have one, let me know how you like it. I just feel like it would be really good for the winter. And anecdotally, I know if I have been walking a good amount the day before, then the next day I feel so much springier. I feel a lot less creaky and a lot less stiff if I had gotten regular movement the day before. I do have a step goal on my Garmin, and it's set at 13,000 steps, but if I run like around 7 miles, I usually get to that immediately. So I try to aim for 20,000 steps, which is kind of a lot, but if you are running kind of like medium distances that day, then the 20,000 is not that much more. But really, you should just feel it out for yourself. All right, so we covered 5 terrible, huge mistakes I made as a beginner runner. It took me many years to learn these things, and it took you less than 20 minutes. So I hope my pain can be your gain. Again, if you want to optimize your nutrition for running, hit me in the link below. I am happy to help. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.